What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part, I want to say, 29-ish of my Total Warhammer 3 Kairos Fateweaver Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, Agrul Migdal was sacked by us, though the enemy didn't put anything of a fight because their brains were addled by Tzeentch apparently, and the AI was broken. The Wurzag AI, however, was not broken, as Wurzag fought Garrulus in a very nice little battle wherein we destroyed his army in a pretty decent one-on-one. And they didn't bring extra units, we didn't bring extra units, and it was fair, and Garrulus's Forsaken won despite their relative disadvantage. So good job, Garrulus. We'll still have to figure out what to do with you, though. Though we do have monstrous strength now, which means we could go into, well, freakish mutations. We could also start moving towards Arcane Conduit. Malefic Sorcerer is decent. But I feel like we want Prismatic Plurality as fast as possible, don't we? You know what, let's get 1 point in Glean Magic, 1 point in Treason, and oh, damn, we can't get Prismatic Plurality. Alright, keep it at 1 point in Glean then, and then we'll go Prismatic Plurality next, as well as some of the good stuff. We'll wait on Freakish Mutations, because these guys don't benefit from it, and I'm pretty sure Regiments of Renown aren't able to use it at all. Now, Greater Gate of Tzeentch, there we go. That's why I get cultists. Beautiful. So you just got a lot more powerful out of that. And then Iber will also be killing some of these bloody hands shortly, though we'll leave that for a few seconds. Now, first thing I want to do this time around is we do want to... What? Rakarth? I don't care about Rakarth. Who I do care about is the Skaven, specifically Scryer and Molder. Now, they really don't want to do military access with us for whatever reason. But perhaps if we join wars against whoever they're fighting here. Well, Angrand is actually kind of close. What about everybody but Angrand? The Wood Elves are fairly far, and we probably don't care about them. And, oh, wow. Not even for 30k? Oh, damn. Okay, you know what? Fine. Fine, Igit. We'll just straight up join these wars. And there we go. And the reason we want to do that is just to make them friendlier. It's improving up to 24 now. As long as the parts of Sartosa don't ask them to join war against us, we should be okay. And I suppose we should do a similar sort of thing with Molder as well. Yeah, that gets us into more wars, but against enemies that are super far away, it doesn't really matter. Like, for example, Hochland, Middenland, Marienburg, none of those will ever come down to us. Kurun may... You know what, is 3 fine for now? Let's do 3. And yeah, they're quite unlikely to get us a military access, but we'll do this, and that'll make them like us more. And then maybe we'll join additional wars against their enemies eventually. Just continue to get them to like us. We just gotta take some military actions against those enemies. Honestly, if we can get up close to Clan Angrand, maybe we attack them. Anyway. Well, let's continue with what we're doing. We do have a decent amount of cash to spend should we desire it, though that's going to decrease as we continue our retrofits, so we'll have to be careful. Let's see about any moves we have left, and then spend some of our hard-earned cash on military buildings. Eckhart, you're moving north. We're continuing to move north. And we still need another iridescent horror for Kairos. There is a Keymaster here. Do we want Kairos to get a lore? Nah, the thing is, I want him to get a Lore of Metal one. I do want that Keymaster, though, so... Oh. Huh. Well, that's interesting. Why are Iridescent Horrors of Metal... They come in at a higher level than Iridescent Horrors of Tzeentch do? What the heck? We're a Tzeentch faction game. What are you talking about? Why is that the case? Well, that's really interesting, huh? We must have some sort of tech that does this? Kind of bizarre, actually. Wait. You are a Lore of Metal, huh? Could you somehow increase the level of recruited units of metal where you are? I don't know what's going on here. I genuinely don't know, but either way, let's get you a Lore of Tzeentch Keymaster here, or somebody. In fact, you will need to join Vindex, although Vindex is also a Lore of Tzeentch, so... well, whatever. Not a big deal. Also, Exiles, have you gotten anything useful? Oh, Skull Cannons, Blood Shrines. You know, Blood Shrines, you provide the Gore Feast ability, well, that's for yourself. You get the melee attack +8 buff, which isn't too bad. The Totem of Endless Bloodletting. For an all-melee army, this may be worth our time. Yeah, we'll see about that. And then Moors, you still have nothing. Okay, fine, Moors, fine. We'll wait on that. But yeah, for example, in Iber's army, a couple of those units could very well come in handy. He doesn't really need the Pink Horse, or at least he won't. He's just going to have lots of infantry and knights. Yeah, you know, I kind of like the concept. We'll probably do that, although obviously not right now. Let's spend our cash and let's have Iber attack here. Let's see. Cash, cash, cash. Wait, Kairos can move slightly? Oh, he's sieging the Black Tower. Oh, I'm glad I didn't forget about that. But you know what? Yeah, we'll leave him out here. I feel like they're going to sally out. They're just gonna. You know, just in case we can build some... Oh, we're already building some, okay. I love it when past me builds some, Okay, now, let's do those buildings, then, and we'll continue. Southern Badlands, you are still not collecting income, but that's fine. Keep up with the Architect's Theorem, and start building walls and growth everywhere. Gorgazan, you're gonna get switched to our allies eventually, but we'll ignore you for now. Black Pyramid, you do need a higher level of walls, but we'll continue ignoring you for now as well. Khemri, you're fine. Kasabar, you're probably fine. As in, I don't want to waste the money on this right now. Anyway, ooh, wait, this is gonna max, you're gonna max out. Okay, so we don't need this. And we don't need this. Lovely. And we don't need this. Damn, this place maxed out fast. Well, I'm happy about that. Next, Talaqua. You are not maxed out and nowhere near it. Golden Pass, you were maxed out ages ago. Devil's Backbone, you need money. And I guess walls while you're at it. And you're about to max out as well. Beautiful. Oh, we're gonna need a lot of money next turn, because we'll be upgrading several things at once. Just gotta remember that. Alrighty, you're good. You are good. Let's keep the spending right now. Ah, you are no longer needed. Should have deleted you earlier. And then you can't get any more money buildings. That's okay. We'll deal with that in a bit. Because if we're going to have to upgrade 2 territories next turn, we might as well save a little bit of cash for it. As that's going to cost like 20 to 30k altogether. Alright, I think the rest of this is good. Yeah, there's still some walls and some military buildings to build, but we can wait on that. It's not super critical, especially as our money is about to drop to like 20k or something like that when we complete at least partial retrofits. Now, Iber, it is time for you to attack, so let's upgrade you. I haven't decided which locus we're going to go for. Probably not the locus of conjuration, because I don't really care about the power recharge, but yeah, it's definitely either locus of transmog or locus of change. The thing is, locus of change would be fairly useless to you specifically. Wait, what are you again? You're tough, right, okay. And we could swap you out to Kairos, potentially, if we get Iber a sorcerer instead, but I think we'll wait on that. Either way, you can get 2 points into... Well, Plague of Rust could come in handy, but since it doesn't have an area of effect, it doesn't really all stat use. So let's get Transmutation of Lead. It's fairly unlikely that we'll need it, but you never know. Either way, let's now attack. I do imagine they'll fight. There are 3 of them after all, and it does think that it'll be a Pyrrhic victory. Of course, we'll see about that. They have Doomdiver. Oh, damn, they have a frickin' artillery piece in every single one of their armies, but that's okay. Shouldn't be too much trouble, but we will be doing it cinematically, because I think it'll be fun. Get to it. Alrighty, Iber fighting under coordinate skies. Well, I guess he is a demon prince, even if it is of Tzeentch, so he may be a little bit more familiar with the aspects of the other gods, because they all might have tried to win him to his cause before he turned Tzeentchian. Anyway, here we go, and I do believe that this is the same, Yeah, this is the same map that Guerrillas fought on, I want to say, last episode. There's been a lot of work battles, so I'm losing track a little bit, and my memory don't last a full day, so, you know. Anyway, it's a pretty good map to be on the defensive at, especially as we have, once again, this little copse of trees. We have this little pseudo-cliff where we can put ranged units if we desire to do so, and it's fairly difficult for enemies to move through the swamp and up here as well. So yeah, pretty good on the defensive. We're also sending our skirmishing units forward, so our horsemen to annoy the enemy with their magical javelin throwing, trying to get those pump wagons, trolls, anything that's enough elite to kill the elites rather with those javelins. The enemy also has, I believe, 3 units of artillery pieces between its armies. So we do have to try to silence those as fast as possible, and here we go. The screamers drop right among them, and even though there are trolls that should have been watching the artillery, it looks like they're not going to react fast enough. Get to it, screamers. There we go. The trolls have realized their mistake and are now moving in, but we have basically killed those poor doom divers. Beautiful. Well done to the screamers, and now you can get the heck out of there. Probably take a little bit of damage, as a few of you are probably gonna get stuck, but that's a sacrifice we're willing to make. In addition to that, we can see that some enemy units are hurt. The goblin archers here probably suffering pink fires from Iber, wait, Iber doesn't have pink fire. Searing Dooms or a Gehenna's Golden Hound, something. Iber's doing something to them, in addition to, obviously, our skirmish cav continuing to annoy all those enemy cav. One of the nice things about this skirmisher cav is it is certainly fast enough to deal with a decent amount of units, preventing them from catching them and just continuing to annoy them. Though I suppose that's the nature of skirmisher cav everywhere, but it doesn't really work against certain factions. Like, if this was a Slaneshi faction, these units would be pretty darn useless, as they just get chased down by Heartseekers. But otherwise, the trolls and the boar boys won't catch them until the skirmish mode breaks. Skirmish mode, of course, being buggy as hell, sometimes causes your units to charge the enemy directly rather than run away. I really wish that you didn't have to babysit units because of that, but sometimes you do. Anyway, I can keep working on that. We got some snotling pump wagons being targeted by our horsemen on this side, and it looks like one of the units is basically done, and now we're switching to the other. The enemy have moved more doom divers and more goblin rock lobbers onto the field, though right now it isn't really much of a threat, as they are far too far away from our regular army. Although I suppose they could do decent amount of damage to our skirmisher cap. Get that other Gehenna's Golden Hounds on, and it really dislikes those 2 particular savage orcs. And there we go. Hopefully it moves more through the... it just seems to be moving through the empty space rather than going through the unit. That was awful. Vortexes, man. Vortexes. Too much RNG. Oh well. Oh well, keep running, although it looks like our Marauder horses are now starting to take damage, possibly from some range units, although it looks like none of them are in range. It's probably just the artillery. Well, that's just fine, because said artillery is not going to be firing much longer, as the enemy have once again left them unprotected, and the screamers are dropping down on the doom divers here, and the other unit of screamers will soon follow suit to drop down on those rock lobbers as well. Iber's still flying overhead, dropping the occasional spell, and annoying the enemy as much as he can. While over on this side, let's see. Ooh, we're almost out of ammo, although these poor Savage Orc Boar Boys, they just don't know what to do about this. And you can always see when the AI doesn't know what to do, because it sort of like runs back and then runs forward and then runs back, etc, etc, because I know it can't catch them, but if it, well, probably getting hit in the back ain't so great either. Although, with these guys being out of ammo soon, they may actually have a fight. And it looks like they're gonna try to run away, although we might actually have to charge them in melee if we can't kill them by the time they're out of ammo. Yeah, this turned out to be a real skirmishy type battle, which is pretty enjoyable, I gotta say. Whenever there's like a little bit of a skirmish element prior to the battle, instead of just units colliding and then the battle is over in 2 minutes, it makes it feel better. It makes it feel more realistic, as it were, as this is more likely to the way that the armies would actually behave, rather than, you know, just directly smashing into each other. This isn't an Akari fight after all, or a Slaneshi fight after all. Anyway, here we go. Looks like we are out of ammo on all of the Marauder Horsemen, I want to say. You guys are out and you will be fighting the remnants of those Boar Boy Biggins in melee, but that's okay. There are only like 5 of them left, and that should be just fine. The trolls here didn't take too much damage to the other unit, but the other unit is also out of ammunition, and then the last, actually has 1 volley by the looks of it, is now hiding behind our main line. Iber has engaged the enemy with a single unit of Chaos Warriors, mostly because I figured, well, we caught some trolls and some pump wagons, might as well use Iber and the halberdiers to catch them here. Although this does kind of expose us and keep us away from the main force, so we do have to be careful. Oh, and look, the enemy lord is here as well. Might as well deplete his armor with a cast from Iber. And then keep attacking him. He is surrounded after all, though Iber can get away. We do have to be careful with our Chaos Warriors with halberds. We're just going to back them up a little bit as the main enemy force arrives. And another Gehenna's Golden Hound's going through the enemy, and this time actually hitting some enemies. Nice. Or partly this is the more so the enemy moving through the Vortex rather than the Vortex hitting them so well. Huh. You know how the enemy likes to move away whenever you try to cast a bombardment on them? I do have to wonder, do they actually behave the same way when it's a Vortex? Or do they not run from it at all? Well, regardless, the Gaze of Tzeentch going down on some trolls, and a pink fire coming in from our support casters. Gonna need a lot of firework here to bring down these enemies, and we've been saving up all of our casts and gonna continue using that Searing Doom bombardment, and soon we should be able to activate a Tzeentch's Firestorm as well. There's a Treason of Tzeentch going down into the enemy blob as well, although at this point Iber has gotten pretty badly beat up. He's down to, 25% HP or something like that. The Lord and all of those trolls hitting him while he acted as an anchoring point in the line was a little bit too much. Not to worry though, the rest of our army has basically changed its position and is now moving in to reinforce. We're looking like we're going to fight on top of this hill rather than defend this one. Mostly because, well, we already engaged some forces and there wasn't too much we can do about that. Over on this side, the Screamers actually took a little bit of damage. I might have forgotten about them a little bit after they silenced those Doom Divers and Grudge Throwers. What Grudge Throwers? Goblin Rock Lobbers. And there we go, another Gehenna's Golden Hounds. Treason of Tzeentch is still up. And we got more casts coming down. There we go, there's that Firestorm of Tzeentch coming down. More and more orcs being susceptible to it. Although, of course, it will clip our units slightly, and it's not that useful against the enemy trolls. The enemy line infantry are definitely going to suffer. And now it looks like we're the ones overwhelming the enemy, though there are still plenty of trolls here. Now our halberdiers are going to move in to deal with them. Or additional halberdiers, rather. And there we go. And I can see shadows overhead. Iber's still hovering and getting ready to drop, maybe. Although that would be very dangerous, because he's still pretty badly beat up. On the bright side, the enemy Lord has dropped, although there is a second Lord to be dealing with. And let's see what's going on back here. The Savage Orc Boar Boys that were charging over on this side are all pretty much dead, and we can now leave our Pink Horrors to move to the side and provide some much-needed range support to the melee piles of units that are still fighting in the center here, and then the rest of our melee units that were previously protecting those Pink Horrors can now move in and join the fight. Here comes another Searing Doom as well as another Pink Fire. Or actually, that looks like a Bolt of Change coming down, isn't it? Yeah, that's a Bolt of Change. There we go, and there's the Searing Doom that I was thinking of. Lots and lots of spell work. I don't think the AI did a good... It made a good move by attacking like this. It actually probably would have done better to attack in a more wide front here, where we were originally defending. This was kind of a happy accident, because it meant so many more of their units were susceptible to area of effect spells. And it looks like, just like that, they think that those said area of effect spells are way too much, and they're gonna book it. Well done, everybody. Looks like our losses were pretty minimal, about 150 for the entire enemy army, and while one of our units of Chaos Warriors of Tzeentch with halberds got very badly beat up, I think that was the unit that was protecting Iber and fighting together in the center here. Oh. The Lord is still alive. Oh, wait, I think that's the third Lord. Yeah, okay, so we will have killed 2 or 1 out of 3, but nonetheless, this army is pretty much broken. Ooh, pink fire coming down from those horrors, and those stone trolls are looking to be pretty dead. I don't actually think that the Chaos Warriors with halberds can chase them down. Oh no. Lucky we have the barrier, because that could have otherwise been very ugly. Anyway, time to chase the enemies down. Maybe we can catch the Lord if we can annoy him enough with the with our horsemen, and I'm gonna lower his army with armor rather with that Plague of Rust upgraded, minus 60 armor, and bring him down. And the other Lord is still trapped here in our piles of Chaos Warriors, which worked out as well. There we go, 3 out of 3. Beautiful. Now it's just a matter of catching all of their elite units as best we can, the Black Orcs, the Nasty Skulkers, all that sort of stuff that can actually do damage, and the Trolls, if we can catch them before they get away. There we go. Close victory apparently, but it's mostly from Iber taking damage. We really need to get him more healing capacity. Man, I really miss having regrowth like we do on Kairos, eh? Oh well, he needs a healing potion, but yeah, it's Other Trickster's Shard versus healing potion. Too bad we don't have Crowns of Everlasting Glory. I think that I know that we have several of those in the Valkia campaign. Since I haven't encountered them in this campaign yet, it could be that we can't actually have Crowns of Everlasting Glory. Maybe they are only available to the Chaos Warriors faction, although maybe it's just been my luck so far. I guess we'll find out as we keep going. Alrighty, there we go. Once again, Iber knocks it out of the park, but he's been doing a lot of that. Also, did I take away his talisman, or did he never have a talisman? I don't remember. Let us, you know what, we'll heal up because it's not a lot of money, and frankly, his army got a little bit damaged there. Although, mostly he took the damage. I actually feel like perhaps we want to swap out that potion of healing on Garrulus. And I know that he has the other Trickster's Shard, but we can put that on Adriazel or on Jaeger here, and they can do it for him. Especially because they're unlikely to be in fights themselves, or considerably less likely, I should say. Also, just out of curiosity, on a Burning Chariot you're at 424. How much cheaper is it if you're on a disc? It is at... I can't tell what the expense is in terms of difference. And I'm not entirely sure that it's actually worth it putting the iridescent horrors on chariots now that it seems that they can't use the Burning Chariot attack. Well, either way, let's get you, or actually, who's more likely to fly around, Iber? Probably Adriazel. Let's get to you, although you're a Lore of Metal, so you should be where the blobs are, whereas you're Lore of Tzeentch, you should also be where the blobs are. Alright, that doesn't really help, does it? Let's get the other Trickster's Shard from Iber on you for now, and we'll swap that out eventually if we need to. Also, you do Fear, and you do nothing. Let's get you the Void Armor then, to help you out. I'm not sure we'll keep it that way. And then we'll take the healing potion, put it on you, because you're always getting yourself in trouble. And is there a good... Fire has the Talisman of Endurance, which fair enough. You have the Power Stone. The Forbidden Rod will hurt you, which has me a little concerned. And the Gambler's Armor. You know what? Keep the Opal Amulet for now. I don't see too much choice in... well, in what we have, really, so just keep it as it is. And then you can go into channel... now, there's no point. You know, the short campaign victory completely invalidated channeling stance altogether. It does nothing for us anymore, because we always have maximums of magic. A little bit disappointing, but what can you do? And now we have to figure out where we're going to advance. Probably up here and into Ekron. We might as well weaken this faction further. We've already done a fairly decent job, I'd like to think. That said, this would mean ignoring Agrul Migdal. Now, Garrulus has old Grumpslayer. Yeah. So, Iber, you have old Grumpslayer as well. Now, the only ones who don't have it are Kairos and Vindex. I guess we'll have you two, rather, take all this. And then if we can get Kairos Old Crumbslayer, then we'll get it. Otherwise, you two will fight here. Alrighty, that works. Now let's spend a little bit of cash once again. Though, is there any moves to make? No, it doesn't look like it. Well, let's see what we got. Gorgazan, ignored. Black Pyramid, ignored for now. Land of the Dead, you are good. Was I gonna save a little bit of money? I can start building a few more military things, but not here, because there's no Cascade. No Cascade here either. We got enough money to spend at this point. Teotihuacan. We should probably start building these. Yeah, there you go. And there you go. And you know what? Let's just build the Demonic Colloque. Well, no. It's not super important, so let's just keep upgrading all the military things that we can get our hands on. Let us go through... Cultist or Sorcerer? Let's go Sorcerer for now. I mean, we'll need them all eventually, but... Yeah, like so. And I want to get at least all the military buildings that we can get to, like, rank 4. You have both of the military buildings that give you bonus parts. Temple Avenue of Gold, where are you, incidentally? Are you beside a place that has all the military buildings? Oh, in fact... If you get one of these out, you'd have nearly all of them. Would make you a good military hub, although Teotihuacan is a military hub as well. And the only thing it's missing is the iridescent horror thing, and it has everything else, doesn't it? Yeah. So ultimately then it doesn't really matter which thing we build here, and I'm inclined to say that we're better off just building another Moment of Potential for more iridescent horrors everywhere. Actually not entirely sure whether it's super worth it to have them in a lot of armies, but, you know, we'll see. Go for it. Alrighty, good enough, and you are looking good to me. Let's build one more military building here, because we have the Cascade, and that's it for this turn. Let's skip it, and let's see if we get attacked by SETTRA over here. I expect that he will. He's got a very nice army. He's got lots of Sepulchral Stalkers, Necropolis Knights, Ushabti with Great Bow, all of which would be pretty good against several of our units. More Ushabti and more Tomb Guard here. He's gotta attack. There's no way he doesn't. And in fact, if he does, do we want to spend the points? I think you have everything, don't you? So you don't actually care about your points. Although Terratus might. Terratus, you can have your Infernal Gateway if you like. We could get Glean Magic, we could get Treason of Tzeentch, although I'd honestly rather have Kairos use those. And honestly, the same thing goes for the Infernal Gateway, to be honest. You're only here as a backup, and the fact that you kind of belong in this army, considering what Kairos buffs. Anyway, let's end the turn. Let's hope SETTRA attacks. Scarby, you're still doing stuff, and oh, you're not gonna go for who we told you to go for. Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. I don't want him to take territory that we don't want. What I did want is for SETTRA to attack, and it looks like SETTRA's gonna oblige, so let's take it to him cinematically. He doesn't have a prayer against Kairos, does he?
Gather to us in all your iridescence, puppets of Tzeentch.
Alrighty, here we go. This is liable to be a pretty good battle, I think. Just look at the massive army arrayed before us. One-on-one against SETTRA's army, we would have had a pretty damn easy time. But with the garrison army in here, they just have so many troops. We're gonna have to try to reduce the count as much as we can with Kairos before the trap closes upon our army and attacks. Oh, man. Yeah, the thing that worries me about here are two things. One, they have a ton of infantry and then a decent amount of Ushabti, as well as monstrous cavalry like the Necropolis Knights, and I think they have a bunch of cab/chariots as well. The problem with all that is the fact that our army is relatively small and we have basically no melee line whatsoever. So we really can't hold off that many troops, and the Pink Horrors, while decent in melee, really aren't built for it, and they're especially not going to do too much damage. On top of that, it seems that SETTRA has brought a few very scary units in particular the Chosen of the Gods, the Ushabti with Great Bow Regiment of Renown, which is definitely one of the scarier regiments of renown because of their sort of the split shot that they got, right? I don't know what to call it, but their arrows split into multiple shots, and they're quite nice. There, we can see them doing it there. Yeah, there we go. Those things can be damn scary, and I remember using them to frightening effect in the Archan campaign. And then on top of that, he has a few other regiments of renown, including the Eyes of the Desert Sepulchral Stalkers, though I have no idea where they are right now. Somewhere in there, I'm sure. I know I saw, oh, there they are, in fact. Yeah, though they're obviously not as scary as the Ushabti, we're gonna have to try to silence the Ushabti as fast as possible. Though, of course, SETTRA is going to be our main target. Obviously, as usual, Kairos is gonna fly around, launching blue fires and trying to kill SETTRA before he gets to us. Oh, you gotta love those burning wheels of that chariot, though. And, of course, dropping pink fires on whatever units we believe are reasonably susceptible to them, as in most of the enemy infantry, though it's not crazily effective against the higher levels of Tomb Guard as opposed to Nehekara Warriors and Skeleton Spears. As in, it'll take more and it may cost an Overcast or two. Alrighty, well, yeah, they are closing. I can't actually tell whether they're closing upon Kairos or whether they're closing upon our main line or our blob of units here, but we shall see. I suppose that this is probably actually a fairly decent location to start our deployment at. I was considering whether we should start over here instead, but instead decided to hide all of our units behind this hill for the purpose of essentially hiding them from the enemy artillery. We can't simply fly our range units or even get our Chaos Knights to attack the enemy and silence those artillery pieces, mostly because the enemy can counter with so much range and so much cavalry of their own. Alrighty, Kairos, let's see how damaged you are. Well, down to about 66% HP, 2/3, or something along those lines anyway, whereas SETTRA is actually close to the same amount, despite the blue fires he's taken. Good job to SETTRA. Alrighty, and we keep using our pink fires on the enemy. The enemy losses are basically non-existent at the moment, but we have done some HP damage to a few units at the very least. Oh, and it looks like the enemy has finally sighted us and is going to start surrounding us. As I said, the trap is closing and we're about to get overwhelmed. Should try to be real careful about all this. Alrighty, ooh, and the enemy has used its Tomb Swarm on some of our pink horrors, though fortunately the barrier is actually quite good against a Tomb Swarm. They're going to charge us with some Necropolis Knights, but we do use our Gaze of Fate upon them to stop them in their tracks, and then begin the burnination with all of our Flamers. For whatever reason, our Flamers and our pink horrors decided not to fire on the enemy unit here directly as they were coming down. I'm not 100% sure why. I definitely didn't disable fire at will, so I'm not sure, but oh well. At the very least, the Necropolis Knights should be just about dead, but this is only the beginning. Here come Ushabti, here come cavalry, and here come chariots, and then an absolutely massive amount of infantry and archers following behind. Kairos, of course, still going to continue flying overhead. Yeah, he's threatened by several of the units continuing to fire at him, but he does still have access to his abilities there. And ooh, looks like they don't want to target Kairos so much as they want to target Mr. Terratus over here on his burning chariot. But yeah, Kairos has regrowth, so he's not all that scared. Plus he has that damage resistance ability. And Terratus is going to fly overhead. He's going to try to pop a use of his Firestorm upon the enemy, but it ain't gonna work out because he's gonna drop in about 5 seconds of sustained fire. This is basically what I was afraid of, and I think a lot of that was focused by the 2 Ushabti unit. Damn, poor I just found the way he died kind of funny. He just died so quickly. I mean, I figured, you know, Kairos was out there for a long time taking hits, so maybe Terratus can take more than a couple seconds of it, but apparently not the case. A Legionary Barrage also moving right through our pink horror line here and dishing out more damage, and now we're 1 caster short. However, we do have another caster to cast, well, actually 2 other casters to cast, so a Flame Storm going down into a blob of enemy infantry. Certainly not a spell we see too often, but because we didn't have the Tzeentch Firestorm, and I mean the non-bound one, we might as well use that. The bound one is also coming down in the piles of Tomb Guard and other units that are moving in, together with that Infernal Gate gateway, trying to hold off the masses of enemy units, though it's looking fairly dicey here. Looks like SETTRA's still in the middle of the fray, and as soon as he was in the middle, and there's a bolt of change coming down as well, as soon as SETTRA was in the middle of all that, it became a lot more difficult to kill him. Because we can't very well use our blue fires on him here, because he'll just, well, they'll just get our own units. Ooh, and that explosion coming in, knocking away a bunch of our infantry, too. I'm gonna Gaze of Fate SETTRA just to keep him away from our units, but more and more enemies are arriving. This is, well, yeah, definitely looking fairly dicey here. Oh, I didn't mean to go to the attack map. I don't know why I clicked it. I wanted to do this. Let's see what we've got here. On the bright side, our Screamers have finally hit those enemy artillery pieces, those Screaming Skull Catapults, and they will thereafter go after the Ushabti. However, we did have to commit our Broke Ahriman, our Doom Knight Regiment of Renown, together with our Chaos Knights, just to hold the enemy back for as long as possible. The Chaos Knights are here by themselves, essentially holding back tons of infantry, and the Doom Knights holding back anything that's about to hit our poor Pink Horrors. Otherwise, we're going to send Kairos directly at the enemy Lord against SETTRA in the hopes of hopefully killing him soon. But we are starting to take damage, and I'm still kind of laughing at poor Territus. Yeah, and you know, I knew that that he'd be a lot more vulnerable on that burning chariot, that he was on his disc. But I figured, you know, burning chariot might mean more damage, but honestly, I'm not sure that it does, especially since we don't apparently have access to the higher damaging ability. But oh well. As in the regular burning chariot attack, as opposed to the regular pink or iridescent horror attack, rather. More spell work at least working. We see pink fires dropping, we see piercing bolts of burning coming down on piles of enemy infantry, even as we move our Chaos Knights away to try to surround and kill additional Necropolis Knights, which are also anti-large and halberdiers, and definitely scary. Fortunately, the balance of power has shifted to about half and half, actually a little tiny bit in our favor, as the enemies lost nearly half of their units. We're also about to see whether the Screamers are enough to kill enemy units of Ushabti, but we really need those Great Bows gone. Especially, once again, those Chosen of the Gods. Poor Territus. Pretty sure 90% of the damage was dealt by them. And we also, of course, summoned our Lord of Change from our Gate of Chaos to distract the enemy for a little bit longer. There's still quite a lot of enemy ranged fire coming in on top of our units, and we do have to be careful, though I honestly would have rather have lost a couple units of Pink Horrors as opposed to the... as opposed to poor Territus, though he should be not that difficult to replace. Huh, I wonder if he has his immortality. We'll see. A very nice cinematic battle, though, and ooh, look at all those shots. It looks like they're focusing Kairos now, who has dropped to only 25% HP. Will this be the time that Kairos himself falls? Our cultist is running away. He's dropped down to about 15% HP. We're still getting spell work out of there as another gateway opens up, and our flamers, at the very least, are still dishing it out. It's looking close. Our infantry line is also barely holding on, as we can see the damage is certainly pretty high. The enemy lord now surrounded by the Broke Ahriman here, together with Kairos. Really got to bring SETTRA down and get that morale shock on the enemy as soon as possible. Come on, Kairos. There we go. Looks like Kairos gets the kill on SETTRA. So that's at least one thing that we don't have to worry about. Though more ranged shots are coming in on Kairos. He is now taking an overcast regrowth. Burnination from multiple directions here as well on the enemy Tomb Guard. Ooh. Yeah, it's close, though the enemy units are now suffering a lot of damage. The Severed Claw are really instrumental in this particular situation. They don't take a ton of damage from the fire like the regular Chaos Warriors do, so they're holding ground and allowing our Flamers to do the damage. And plus, they're holding on. They're not dead yet. And there we go. Looks like those units crumble, and I do believe, though it was close, I gotta say, the battle is ours. Granted, most of our Pink Horrors are relatively okay, but a lot of our elite units got very badly beat up. Damn. And it does look like the Screamers did manage to pull it off in a win against the Ushabti of Great Bow with Great Bow. Either that or said Ushabti crumbled. I suppose it doesn't matter either way, and Kairos reached his healing cap at about half. And damn, a Pyrrhic victory, but what a glorious fight. I love the way that the enemy moved down the hill and attacked us. Of course, we sort of gave them that advantage, but it was, I suppose, in the name of not once again being hit by the enemy artillery, because we were hidden until they crested that hill. Kind of hard to say if it would have been better if we had deployed somewhere else. Definitely would not have been good if we had deployed in the trees. Yeah, I feel like that was probably the best way to do it. Certainly the enemy would have, well, they wouldn't have been able to use their Ushabti with Great Bow to great effect here in the trees, but then we wouldn't have been able to use our own ranged units, and let's face it, our army is really range reliant. Anyway, let's see what we got left, let's see what we have to recover, and at the very least, SETTRA's dead, so the Black Tower of Archan should be ours. Oh man, I am so glad for SETTRA finally giving Kairos a battle that, well, actually tested him to some degree. I mean, it was a Pyrrhic victory, and we got quite a lot of damage on a lot of our units. Our Chaos Warriors of Tzeentch came close to destruction there for a little bit, and our cultists nearly died. Our Iridescent Core basically got knocked out of the sky in like half a second with combined fire from the Ushabti with Great Bow, especially the Regiment of Renown Ushabti with Great Bow, and lots of enemy archers in range. Very, very nice. It was such a fun battle, damn. Alrighty, occupy the place, obviously. This is the place that we wanted to trade, and now it's at last hours. And yeah, we were right to predict that SETTRA would be attacking us here. An underway interception for Iberg and some tiny little army, go for it. And heal up, even if it is only a tiny bit. Alrighty, now I take it that our Iridescent Horror is wounded, not dead, right? He should be wounded. I don't remember what level he is, but, well, let's see. Wait, was he immortal? We're about to find out. Oh, he was killed in battle, damn. Well, that's a shame. We're about to get another one on the field, but still, damn. Considering. Yeah, and it's also a little bit my mistake for putting him on the Burning Chariot in the first place. I was talking about it, how much more vulnerable they are on those chariots, and indeed, he was quite vulnerable down to the end. Now, that was an Iridescent Horror of metal, unless I'm mistaken. Because Kairos is all the Tzeentch. No, that was an Iridescent Horror of Tzeentch. Like you. Alright, well, we'll get you to replace him. Ah, but we won't have access to Firestorm of Tzeentch for a while, but, well, you got places to be, buddy. Let's get some more of these on the field, then. Aggressive Enchantler, I don't particularly like these. Okay, you know what, actually, that's all the time we got today. Oh, well. There's still a lot of admin to do, clearly, and some more moves to make. Kairos should be able to take a bunch of territories without too much trouble now that SETTRA's faction is very badly damaged, and in fact I'm surprised at how much balance of power they have retained, considering that we just destroyed their main army here. And though I suppose they could build up something nice still, like this little army that's being built up here. I do have to wonder what they can get in here. Quite a bit of good stuff. Although it looks like they can't get Ushabti in this particular province, which would still be fairly decently easy, I think, for us to destroy them with full HP. Though we might actually have to send another army down here to deal with this, i.e. Iber or Garrulus. Probably will have to be Iber, because he's closer. But anyway, that'll be something for next time, as well as we will sail fire out to start fighting both the elves. I guess we'll start with the elves, and then the Cult of Sotek as well, so it should be plenty of fun. Lots and lots more battles to come. Press F for poor Terratus, who died. I don't know why I'm laughing at the poor guy, but just the way he died so quickly. Knocked out of the sky. Oh well, anyway, more Kairos to come. Don't forget to leave a like and comment, yada yada yada. All glory to the algorithm. And thanks for watching.